Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
We are here, and once again, it is our great pleasure to be in your reality. Just for the record, we'd like to start off by thanking all of you from Europe and Ireland and wherever you've come from various corners of the galaxy as well, to gather together here in the Oceanside Resort, Malahide, in the Grand Hotel, perfect name for a perfect location, just outside of Dublin, Ireland. And we are fully intending to raise the vibration, to explain things to you, but to deliver energy to you so that you have a larger understanding of reality. Certainly to fulfill the title of the weekend, exploring or gaining and going to new levels of consciousness. That is a given. And most important, that we inspire you to elevate and improve the human experience. And that human experience will be elevated and improved through your own personal life by the decisions that you make, the things that you decide to do, and the things that you will improve upon, and the things that you do that are not great for you, that you will graciously lay aside. So, a little bit of background. The year is 2015, and the date is the weekend of the summer solstice. A magnificent time of year in the Northern Hemisphere. You are 1 day, 2 days shy from the longest day of the year. The sun moving far north, coming to the Tropic of Cancer, and creating a great disbursement of light. It affects your biology on a very deep level. And when you live in the Northern Hemisphere, the peak of light tends to activate the neural pathways, the cells of all life, of the plants, the animals, and of course you are within the animal kingdom, you are creatures as well. So you reach an excitement point. The cells within your body are very excited by the solar activity, and it is absolute perfect time to receive data and to get the bigger picture of who you are and why you are here. These are very important times. And each of you have chosen to be alive, to live on the planet, and everyone that's on the planet, 7+ billion people, they all know they are here for a reason. Some people, let's say, come for different reasons, because some people really never get too far away from the planet. And when they die, sometimes they die in confusion and they come back in confusion. It is part of the soul's journey. You are connected to layers upon layers upon layers of greater intelligence. You are connected to, as our vehicle said, the Anunnaki, not simply by bloodline or by genetic engineering, but you are multidimensional creatures, meaning that you have many versions of you. So, for example, the you that sits here in this room is unique unto your physicality, unto your biology, your personality, and your gender. On other locations, it would be similar. On Earth, you would have an identity, and yet in the non-physical realms, you would have way stations, let us say. Some call them oversouls, places where these various physical personalities would be part of a larger personality. Some call it guardians, oversouls. The names are simply names. They are labels. They are descriptions to help you understand something that is your birthright to understand. But the problem has been your interference. the genetic engineering that has happened to humans on the planet, and then today, living in the 21st century, the ubiquitous, that means spread everywhere, like smooth peanut butter, not lumpy, spread smoothly everywhere across the board. The ubiquitous use of devices and things in the air that destroying your cognitive abilities, designed to confuse you, to distract you, and to quite clearly entertain you into the grave. Obviously, all of this is occurring for good reason. Good reason happens to be that in the biggest stories of the cosmos, it is well known that various junctures in time undergo rapid stages of evolution. And much of this has to do with the transmissions of energies that can be sent from places far, far, far from where you are now. And just to give an example, our vehicle was speaking to you about one of the Mayan calendars, the one that is called the long count calendar. And this long count calendar was designed by the Mayans 2,000 years ago or some such. But instead of starting the calendar in their then now, they started the calendar, this 5,125-year Mayan calendar, they started it around 3114, 3116, something like this, BC. And then allegedly it ended on December 21st, 2012. Now how could these primitivos in Mexico figure this out? Well, obviously they did not. Obviously, forces of intelligence such as we and all kinds of other beings have long been speaking through and to people on your planet. Remember this. This is so important. The European continent has been peppered with oracular centers. You have Cumae in Italy. You have Delphi in Greece. You have Siwa in Egypt. These are examples of locations where people would visit and where oracles would stay and messages were delivered. Today, messages are being delivered all over the planet from all kinds of beings, and it's a wide open game. And the Mayans were told to build a calendar to point to this particular era. And in their calendar, they pointed out that everything would start to heat up and really, really change in the year called 1987. And it was said that in August of 1987, that was the starting date, around August, what was it, 18, 19, 20, somewhere in that vicinity, where the countdown would begin the last 25 years of this 5,125-year cycle. So, think in your brains, where was I in 1987? Some perhaps were not born. They were figuring it out. Wow, something's going on the planet. I'm coming on down. And I'm going to see if I can get these two people who I qualify for to be my parents to have sex when I want them to, so that then I will be born these months later and I will qualify for this particular imprint, and then I'm coming in and I'm going to be here for this big, 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 big planetary change. You come in, you forget why you came. It sounds familiar, yes? Some of you planned far in advance, some planned recently. So think about, where were you in 1987 and what has happened to you since then? Everything has gone faster and faster. You've had an introduction of incredible new technology. Most of that technology was delivered to humans by ETs, some of it by idea, some of it by dream, some of it by inspiration, and some of it to select members of the planet in the secret globalist family by being directly delivered, directly saying, implement these technologies on the planet so that we can track your people. Most of the technologies that are out there today are tracking devices. Your TVs can watch you. If you have a flat screen TV in your home, you are being watched. Most likely. Or the capability is there. Cell phones, even when they're off, someone, if they want to, inside the governments and the agencies, can turn them on and listen to everything you're doing. There's not a thing that you do on the internet that is not statistically studied. Not just for you as an individual, of course all those records are kept, but also to see who is awakening. What are the numbers? What are the large statistics of what is happening? And there is no doubt about it, folks. When the Mayans were told by their gods, who would be the Anunnakis in disguise, when they were given galactic astrology, when they could time a calendar to end, when the sun, the solar orb, was in direct alignment, in opposition, conjunction, in alignment with the galactic center, no Mayans figured that out. They were given that data, as has been the story of the planet. You are in constant interdimensional, multidimensional communications. If more of your DNA was activated or switched on, and if more of your cranial capacity was in operation, you would be receivers of great amount of data. You would be more Anunnaki-like. You would be using the biology, and then you would augment it simply with technology for other reasons. Today, your biology is shut down, and so you think technology informs you, when in actuality it confuses you, and for the young people, it ruins their thinking processes. All right, that's out of the way. You understand that. Within all of that, the game is still on. We and many, many other beings have a deep investment for our own reasons in supporting your leaps in consciousness, in supporting you to go quickly but safely and somewhat slowly from your point of view to new levels of understanding the bigger picture of reality, and being able to switch on inside and tune in to use your body as your own cosmic radio, to get your own sources. This does not mean that you are going to start channeling per se. It means that if you wonder about something and you want it, you'll be able to use your biology to get ideas, to figure things out. This is encoded within you. Our vehicle explained to you a little bit of the Anunnaki story, the Sumerian text, the cuneiform, the tablets, all of this. The records are there. They're in stone. They are etched on clay tablets. They are there. But they are what the visitors want you to believe. And these visitors can be tricky because they are trapped in their own illusions. You have heard the expression, as above, so below. We guarantee you that the confusion that is going on the planet is filtered down from the confusion that's happening among overlords in the heavens. They are fighting. There have been fights using earthbound people and tricking them and taking them into space programs that are thousands of years in advance of the science that they are teaching in 5th grade, or even high school or college physics. You are being educated, your young people, with disinformation that is so antiquated it's been old for a long, long time. And this is creating a lot of unrest, a lot of confusion, because, as our vehicle was explaining to you, there are parts within your biological being that have integrity, that want to know the truth, and that do know the truth. But the mind, the conscious mind, wants to battle with that. It doesn't understand always what's being birthed inside. And what's being birthed inside, quite simply, is something we call Enki's gift. Enki, the first son, but not the ruler of the planet, but the one with more compassion, He and his sister, she was originally called Ninma, and then she became Mami, and then she became Nin Hersog, Lady of the Mountain. But Mami, the original Mami, she was an Anunnaki, a half-sister of Enlil and Enki, and both of these brothers had children with her. So there you are going to get a large incestuous type of situation. Ninma was the chief medical officer, and it was under her tutelage with Enki that all manner of biological experimentation was taking place, and these two had more compassion. Yes, they wanted to fulfill a job, but they also had compassion for what they created. And they understand that they are their creations. And within their creations, perhaps maybe 100,000 years ago or some such, they began to tweak things. And the interesting thing about your biology is that these Anunnakis, who are, let's say, premier biologists, they can tweak you from afar. They can tweak you in this moment by sending frequencies that can alter your DNA to open things up. Now, it's difficult to open things up for someone who doesn't want things to be open, or who does everything against their own well-being. That sort of person is too boring to work with. They have no potential. They'll go out and get drunk instead, over and over again. But clever people, anyone who wants to think and wonder, anyone who wants to self-improve, anyone who understands the value of the system of nature, you start to shine. And you each glow a little bit. Those who are capable can look on Earth and see who has greater potential than others. The boring ones have no glow to them. The interesting ones glow. They give off energy frequencies that show they have some sort of thinking awareness process. Then you start attracting others who will work with you. But when you start thinking, you may also attract others who don't want you to advance. And this is part of learning how to deal with these things. As you advance in consciousness, you may encounter forces who see that you are lighting up, and they may want to start diminishing you or harassing you from the dimensions. Drop your grounding cord, reaffirm your aura, and always move back to your breath, to deep breathe, to make intentions, to augment your energy field. Attracting energy that wants to challenge you is part of the initiation so that you know these forces do exist. They can easily be repelled by simply taking charge of your energy field, your thoughts, your physicality, and your intentions of coming from your heart and doing good works. All right, that's understood. Now, 2015, it's a few years past the end of the Mayan calendar. The years that the Mayans defined as being so pivotal when everything would change on the planet were the 25 years from 1987, including and through 2012. People on the planet got all excited. Something big is going to happen at the end of 2012. What would it be? Goodness gracious, we're certainly going to go in the fourth and fifth dimension. What manure. What manure. It's all right to laugh, people, please. Feel free to laugh. When you laugh, you open up your energy fields, you enhance your immune system, so it's good to laugh. And we like it when you laugh at our follies. So, everyone's holding their breath, certain there's going to be some ascension, some elevation, something. It was all nonsense. Because you are so in it, you can't even tell what you are in. And every day, if you put your mind on it, you are incrementally increasing your awareness. No one is going to lift you up and take you off the planet and save you from the problems that are here. If they lift you up and take you off, they're probably going to take you someplace either to eat you or to imprison you as slaves. And it's been happening throughout the history of your planet that humans have been taken into space. It is to this day that some of your disappearing scientists are on the moon, and that there are colonies on Mars. So just sit with that, folks, please. The Anunnaki established bases on the moon hundreds of thousands of years ago, and they've never abandoned them. This is why there are structures on the moon that people report that are massive in size, gigantic domes, towers reaching outwards, bridges of all natures, and that's only what you can see. The Anunnaki are masters at building inside of planetary structures. And the places that are on the surface that you call stone markings or sacred sites, especially big places like Egypt, the pyramids, you have other large stone enclaves. These often mark a location so that when visiting Anunnaki's return after earth changes and things, the remaining stone structures also mark openings to areas inside the earth, or nearby openings into what we have termed a massive tunnel system that was built inside your planet by the Anunnaki long time ago. It's one of the reasons, only one, that all of the problems have been happening in the Middle East. Some of the locals, and we are talking those who would be more in the mountainous areas of the Middle East, those who live close to the land, or native peoples, aboriginal peoples around, they sometimes were assigned guardianship to never let anyone know about openings inside the earth. There's so many mysteries on your planet, and yet they all can be explained when you start to factor in that there has been a presence for hundreds of thousands of years invested in tricking you from understanding the multidimensional cooperation and intricacy of which you are a part. Now, these Anunnaki are in a hard place right now. You on Earth are part of the empire. You are only one colony of the empire. There are other parts of the empire throughout the galaxy that are in mutiny. So the chaos above is in desperation. Remember, 15 years of your time is a day and a half to the Anunnaki. They sometimes have a hard time condensing their experience of time down into yours, just as you are boggled by theirs. This translates to they cannot always find your time. You assume or presume that if visitors come from space, that they are going to find your now. But think of this, people. All time is simultaneous. And the time structures that you are in are containers built on calendars that the Anunnakis designed so that you can have an experience. And because you have been genetically altered and your cranial capacity is limited, they were easily able to make these containers and have you think that's all there is. In simple terms, Enki and his sister left openings in your DNA and are working those openings sort of as a time capsule that is firing off during the nano years. That's our term for 1987 through 2012. The nano years, meaning that they fly by like a nanosecond. And the post-nano years, which is what you are in now. We call these years the changeover years, from 2013 through and including 2027, the biggest changes of your lifetimes. Magnanimous, absolutely mind-boggling. The changes of the nano years were the speeding of time and the intrusion of technology. Now, in these years, come the visitations, the mysteries, the stories. Everything starts to make sense. It is now time for all of the dangling participles, as they are called, the threads that seem to be unconnected. the pieces of the puzzle start to make sense. These are the most important years of your life. You will see the most dramatic changes. These changes were set into activation by some astrological configurations. Those of you who are astrologically astute may understand this, that since perhaps 2011 through and including this year, through March of this year, 2015, you had a series of 7 astrological squares between the planet Pluto and the planet Uranus. These effects, since 2011, have been breaking down and dismantling the planetary systems that are working against people. Unfortunately, you're going to see a lot of governmental and systemic collapse. The clock is ticking, the timer is on, and the Ponzi scheme has been the financial situation. And this is where you probably are going to feel it the most. It looks, and again, things can look a certain way and the probabilities can change because there's no one future that you are all in. Every time you change your mind, you change the way things come down. When you say to yourself, well, I'm not here for any nuclear explosions, I am not going to be in a destroyed reality. Well, guess what? You won't be then. Because there's so many choices. And yet when it's winter, you are not going to turn it into summer. Oh, you may for a few hours, but you are not going to change the seasons. But you certainly can change how and where you experience many aspects of your future. So, for example, if an economic collapse occurs, which really looks likely because all over the globe there's a lot of scuttlebutt. The Ponzi scheme has been, you've been trading pieces of paper, they're worth nothing. They used to be worth something, but now they are worth nothing because someone in the back room keeps rolling out more and they're backed not by any kind of precious gold. There's nothing valuable to back them. And your currency could be backed by diamonds, emeralds, anything. Anything it is great value could be kept in one place and then papers distributed, but that's not how it is. Now remember, any financial system knows that it's going to be the most powerful system if it is backed by gold. And the U.S. used to be the big gold reserve currency, the dollar. The U.S. is going to go belly up. It is going belly up. And when the U.S. goes belly up, some of you say, oh good, they deserve it. That's fine. But it's going to affect the entire globe. It's going to break the back of world economy. And it looks as if it is going to be the Chinese with their renminbi and their yuan and their 30,000 tons of gold that they've just announced they have. It's going to be a huge, huge switch. The euro, of which you use here in Ireland, is in just as much trouble as the US dollar. It looks as if, friends, it's a matter of time. Because there are some things you can change, but when something is worthless, it's not going to be propped up forever. So we are giving you a big heads up. There are strong indications that the next economic collapse is probably sooner rather than later. And it's being put off because when these collapses occur, they don't suddenly catch everyone by surprise. They are planned. Because insiders pass the word and they say, oh, time to get out. We're giving you 2 months. Sell your stocks. Buy up precious metals. Put your houses on the market. Get top dollar because there's going to be a crash coming, and when it comes, it's going to make the crash of 2008 look like it was a preschool bow-tying party. We are giving you heads up that things that start to occur could really set things into motion. It's going to be interesting, very interesting. Do not invest in fear. And certainly do not lead with ignorance. Lead with intelligence and do not be afraid of what you know. And do not let those in ignorance dominate your mind. If someone insists on being uninformed and ignorant, let them go. Spend some time with them, but do not waste this precious lifetime, dear friends, in arguing with those who refuse to grow. Seek out greater understanding and seek out good times. You think, why, how could I have a good time if all these things are happening around the world? When you get together and you walk by the seashore, when you visit the old stone sites, when you pack up a picnic, when you get together in the pub and you cheer and you toast to activating the DNA, this is you taking charge of your lives. And whether you are going to change the planet, that may be in question, but you are certainly going to enhance your soul's experience for why you have come here. And as our vehicle explained to you, you change your life. You cannot help but changing and influencing the lives of those around you. All right, that's our opening introduction. We're going to open it to questions, and we know that you have plenty. Again, we're going to ask you to speak loud and clear. If we have to ask you more than a few times, we will move on, even though you may have a good question. So, let's start. Who would like to start off? And we'll give it to Jackie first because she has brought us here to Ireland. And you could pass if you want to. But Jackie, would you like to ask the first question to get the ball rolling?
I would, but firstly I'd like to say a huge thank you to you and Barbara for being here with us in Ireland.
Oh, it's our great, great pleasure. We plan on doing the pubs and all these things here. Our favorite drink, just so you know, is not pint. We are not pint drinkers. We drink the drink of the stars, and that is called champagne. All right, so go ahead, Jackie.
My question is around the challenges that we're currently facing.
The challenges, yes.
And can you speak about how they are linked to ancient times?
How they are linked to ancient times. Well, as our vehicle was explaining to you, the ancient times are not so ancient. And cycles occur, just as you have the seasonal cycles, and the daily cycles, the yearly cycles. The visitors from long ago, they are still alive. And they have unfinished business here. And they have karma. Now, people hear the word karma and they think, oh, I must have done something wrong. It's not necessarily that. Our vehicle was explaining to you about the Creator. Who is the Creator? The Creator, it's unknown. We don't know who the maker or the Creator is. No one does, but everyone knows of it. It's not a man, it's not a woman, it's not a location in another galaxy. It's not found in a black hole, it's not found anywhere, yet it is everywhere. It is a presence of intelligence that is in everything. And if you were switched on, you could go down to the seaside and pick up a pinch of sand and hold that sand and say, "Sand, tell me the story." And the sand would know the story because the sand is part of the Creator. So understand this, that you are part of the Creator, the Anunnaki are part of the Creator, and you may say then, well, why do that Creator let those Anunnakis do these bad things and mess us up? Or why does the Creator let these globalists poison us with chemtrails and GMOs and Wi-Fi and all of this? The Creator is allowing. The Creator is curious. The Creator is in all things, good and evil. And the Creator knows that what is put out is going to come back. You come up with this term called karma. It simply is a definition of how energy is used. So now, from knowing the Anunnaki story, they came here, they got gold, and they decided to build some humans, and they were not nice to them, and then one of the gods says, too bad if they die in the flood, don't warn them, let's just harass them, use them. This is not good karma. And of course, that sort of misuse of the Creator's energy is the problems that the Anunnakis had. That sort of now blowback has come back to them. You know, sometimes on Earth you see someone do something and you shake your head. You say, well, what goes around comes around. It's going to come back. Or you see someone on the highway, they cut you off and they are a rude driver. Our vehicle says, ticket. She knows if she points and says ticket, that someone's going to give that person a ticket. Use that technique as well, please. It's powerful. Oh yes, of course, you have the power. This is a little wand, the finger, you know. The finger is definitely a wand. So you don't want to point it at someone to lecture them. But if someone does something out of harmony, then you can say, ticket. Or you can look at a world leader and say, karma now. You understand the power we are talking about? It's not being violent, it's simply calling it for as it is. So, challenges and how it's connected to ancient times. These Anunnaki are into it past their eyeballs, because what they have set into motion is coming back on them in such confusion. You are feeling it on Earth. The world leaders are all out of integrity. You haven't had a good person in charge in a long, long, long time. The people that are in charge of your world are corrupted by either monies or sexuality. Money corruption's all right. But nobody makes a big deal about someone if they've stolen billions of dollars. So they're not highly blackmailable. But sexual indiscretions, sexual secrets, sexual deviations, someone putting on the tap dance on Sunday, but Sunday night working with the cult underground, highly desirable for a world leader. Why? Because then that person has to do what they are told. And every powerful person on the planet is answering to someone above them, either a physical or non-physical. This is the nature of how this is. Who is it? It's all manner of connections, all manners. In Europe, you have the Rothschilds. They've long been Red Shields. They've long been connected to the occult and receiving data through the dimensions, and they will do anything to have power. Wars, money, drugs, chemies, pharmaceuticals. It's all about money and corruption and rulership. All this is coming to a conclusion. This is how ancient times, the karma of ancient times, is all winding itself down. On the other hand, you have handfuls. That's not exactly the right term, but you have a lesser number of people on the planet who are being given inspiration and solutions. Some of these solutions are new ways to heal cancer, new ways to understand the body, new ways to switch on, new ways to reduce pollution, more effective ways to grow food, ways to reduce or to eliminate radiation. You have this control of chaos, and then you have this rising of good people, of good intention, who see, maybe don't always understand completely, but they see and they're being helped, so that all of humankind, or those interested, their experience can be elevated. So our main message is, please do not despair, and understand that what's happening from long ago is all unfolding now. By 2027, the end of the changeover years, there will be many less people on the planet. And the people that are here are going to have their eyes opened wide. And more than likely, in the next few years, or even sooner, someone, perhaps the Pope, because he is their likely candidate. You notice how humbly he dresses compared to his predecessor? Notice that he's a Jesuit. The Jesuits have always been at war with the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church has never allowed the Jesuits to gain any power, but the Jesuits are the ones who have the big observatories and telescopes, and they watch the heavens. Now, why would those in the Catholic Church be watching the heavens? They are looking for the return of the Anunnaki. And it looks as if it's either going to happen or they're going to stage an event, and this Pope has been put into position to eventually win the trust of humans, and he has the most to gain, the least to lose, to make the announcement that some sort of return of God is imminent. Remember this. And he's going to go before the U.S. Congress, and he's going to speak before the UN. historical precedents all thrown out the window. And he's going to do this at the end of September. And many people are pointing to the month of September as being a time of opening many, many, many changes on the planet. This is why it is essential that we came here to Ireland, a gracious host country that welcomes people from all over Europe to come and hear the story and to come to give you some idea, perhaps to piece things together so that you will feel more stable. Remember, each of you wanted to be alive now, and you are guided and your soul is stronger than you think. Keep your wits about you and you will do well. All right, so let's move into more questions. Who would like to ask? Loud and clear.
Tanya.
That's a mousy voice. Over here, who has a question?
Jennifer.
Who is it?
Jennifer.
Jennifer, loud and clear. What's your question?
Hello, please. Thank you for allowing me to speak. And I was really pleased to hear you talking about chemtrails earlier.
Yes.
I'm very, not personally, an awful lot of us here are very concerned about the environment, about the huge increase in geoengineering chemtrails.
Now, you know that these chemtrails have been going on since the 80s.
No.
Since the 80s. And even to this day, we were teaching recently, talking about them, and afterwards a kind lady came up to our vehicle and she said, chemtrails, what are they? Our vehicle said, do you ever look up? She said, no, not really. You are creatures. You need to be looking at the ground and up at the sky all the time. So this is how they've been able to pull it off. Television. People stare straight ahead. So this is why people don't see it. But how do you notice? The sky starts out bright blue, and then in a short amount of time you see trails. Sometimes it is a tic-tac-toe design, a grid, and then a little while the sky is white. Two things happen. It blocks out the sun, and the sun is constantly sending you data, because data it rides the light frequencies, and the sun is an intelligent communication device. And so the sunlight actually sends you data and updates you constantly on your intelligence. And then the chemtrails block this out, and they are distributing, as people have said for a long time, barium, aluminium. Aluminium has been described as a culprit in the rapid rise of Alzheimer's disease, of which it is reaching epidemic proportions, along with autism and obesity. Well, there you have it. No one can solve all of this. And someone recently pointed out to us that there was a doctor or some such from Germany who paid to have some of the particles from chemtrails analyzed, and found that they are spraying also something called Lyme disease. So now what's your question, Jennifer?
My question is, a lot of us feel very helpless, but I believe there's a solution, and I'm sure you know about Orgonite. There's a movement here to get Orgonite made from plaster, which has a great life energy power. Just wondering if you please think that this is a worthwhile exercise.
Anything you do, Jennifer, is going to be worthwhile. Why? Because it is the act and the intention. Your intentions and your desires then begin to excite the Creator, because the Creator says, wow, my energy that I give out and that is in all things is being utilized for good. So your intentions count, but also there are people taking even bigger action. In the USA, it has recently come out that there are people who want to create, because they say these chemis are happening all over the world, they are affecting all the people of the world, and so they are wanting to create a class action suit, of course, that all the people of the world would be covered under, and to take it to the courts and go after the secret governments and the people involved in destroying the people of Earth. So it's going to happen on a lot of levels. Do you understand this?
Yes.
Keep doing your part. And the other thing that's so important is boost your immune system. The people that despair the most, the people who have the most problems, the people who live from day to day in poverty, have the weakest immune systems. There's no need for poverty. But if you are convinced that you are poor, then you're going to be poor. If you are convinced that perhaps you can improve and that you can attract more abundance into your life, then do so. And if you say to yourself, you know, I used to say I just have enough. I just have enough. Why do you want just enough? Words create. You can have plenty. You can say, I always have plenty. You see the difference? So the power of your words, I always have plenty, instead of I just have enough. When you say I have plenty, your immune system is stronger. I always just have enough. You see the difference? And then as you say, reality begins to conform. So, boost your immune systems. And our vehicle started out today and she gave you a lot of basic protocols. There's many more things that you can do. And as we said to you, laughter, good times, socializing, good sex, honest, loyal, wonderful sex, good health, good exercise, a good night's sleep and rest. All of these things can be immune system boosters, because the immune system is boosted by joy and happiness. And it is diminished and weakened by worry, despair, and world situations on the media that depress you. So much less media also. Or if you look at the media, say, I wonder why they want me to believe this. I wonder why they want me to think this. Then that does not diminish the immune system so well. And that's the best thing you can do, is to boost the immune system. And understand inventiveness, genius is happening now. And it would happen for a lot more people if they would get rid of their devices and go out into nature more. This is Uranus, the electrifying planet of mass awakening, and it is in the sign of Aries. Don't tell me what to do. So you have this sign of genius in this sign of independence, new beginnings. It can create a lot of violence, a lot of anger. That is why you have all these people revolting and shooting and killing, and they're losing it, and they think the only way to get what they want is to destroy. Please understand, you do not have to destroy to win. You do not have to destroy to get what you want. You simply sort of build probabilities around those who want to play in that sandbox. Who has a question? On this side of the room now, loud and clear.
Tanya.
Tanya, welcome.
How are you doing?
What's your question?
I've got a quote from your book. Geometry is a form of intelligence that takes place after sound.
Don't quote the book. Talk to us, please.
Can you explain that fully, and how can we use the knowledge about the relationship between sound and geometry to empower our lives?
Well, if you understand geometry, you can understand the dynamics of building. And building comes out of having a system of weights and measures and numbers, all of which the Anunnaki delivered to the planet. You have heard of perhaps Hermes, or Thoth. These two beings are one and the same, and they really are another name for an Anunnaki son of Enki. This is the side of the room that was Enki's family, and this is the side that was Enlil's family. Enki had a son that he named Ningishzida. That is N-I-N, then Gish, like Gilgamesh, but Gish, G-I-S-H-Z, Z-I-D-D-A. Ningishzida. He was also known as the winged serpent, beloved son of Enki, Thoth Hermes, genius extraordinaire. He builds the systems of weights and measures, builds the calendars, the time, so that civilization can develop on Earth. Many things on Earth, well, look at your buildings. You cannot have architecture if you don't understand angles. And that is geometry. And there's a lot that happens between the angles. If you go to perhaps a igloo or a dome, it's very different than in a rectangular or square building. So sound is a way of power. And here's an interesting exercise for you. We gave it to people from long ago. Or not so long ago, a few years ago. We said, Anu is the chief god in heaven. He's the one that Enlil and Enki and everyone answer to, Anu. And his name is everywhere. Everywhere, and you say his name all the time. And even people speaking other languages have his name in their language. And it is the A-N, and sometimes it is backwards, it is N-A. Some of you might right this moment look to see if you have A-N or N-A or A-N-U in your name. We gave people an assignment, and we said we want you to come up with 22 words that have An or Anu within it. And as you start looking for these words, I found this one and this one and this, especially in the English language. January, there you have it, A-N-U. Luna, there you have it backwards. And you start understanding that as you say these words with Anu's name in them, you are constantly energizing the presence of this being, because these beings gave you language. And then there was the splitting of the languages, as you know from the Tower of Babel situation, where it appears that one of the Anunnaki wanted to overthrow the other Anunnaki and build their own missile site. They said, you think that you own heaven? We're not going to get stuck on earth. We are Anunnaki too. We are going to build our own missile center. It's going to be our Tower of Babel. We are going to build it in Babylon. I don't care about you, Enlil and Enki and Anu. This is Marduk now. And lo and behold, God said, we can't have this. We can't have this. We can't have everybody building missile sites into the heavens. They'll get up to where we are. There will be too many problems. We own heaven. You have to go through heaven according to our protocols. And we'll set those protocols up in religions, which we will not let you take your rocketry up there. Hence, we will confound the languages so that you can't figure out what we are doing. Start to make sense, folks? The power of sound, the power of words, the power of numbers. Who else has a question this side of the room?
Georgiana?
Who is it?
Georgiana?
Cannot understand you. Someone else. Loud and clear. All right, this side of the room. Who has question? Loud and clear.
It's Roy here.
Who is it? Roy?
Roy, yes.
Loud and clear.
I wish to ask what you consider the best source of information on cosmic and universal laws and laws of creation.
The best source?
Yes.
Aren't we giving you good data? Who else has a question? This side of the room.
I have a question.
Yes, you are?
My name is Falco,
What is your name?
Falco.
Falco.
Yes.
All right, question.
My question is, in all this...
Can they hear you in the back of the room?
In all these big cosmic events that are happening now and that you are talking about, what is really the role of the human beings?
What is really the role of the human being in the midst of all of these great cosmic events? Brilliant question. You, as humans, can help heal all of this empire building by the Anunnaki that have confounded and limited the growth of many life forms. Some people say you are slaves. That is a bit of a stretch, because if you think you are not a slave. You can outmaneuver the system. Within the system, of course. You are not going to suddenly sprout wings and fly, but you have a lot of freedom to awaken. And as we said to you, Enki left something in the humans, in some humans, let us say, that's coming around and it's being activated. And then some humans, as they wake up, can then vibrate at a new frequency. Any frequency that you vibrate at is felt by others because you are highly telepathic, whether you know it or not. You always are picking things up around other people. That is why when you are driving on the highways and there's all kinds of cars, it can be overwhelming. You get somewhere and you feel so drained. It's not just the driving, it's that you are in the anxiety and all the chaos of all the other drivers, and you are psychically picking it up. And then if you are using your cell phones and your Wi-Fi inside of cars, it's suicide. Just know this, folks. Wi-Fi is suicide. And just so that you know, this is an aside, we'll come back to Falco. There are 60,000, at least, peer-review articles talking about the danger and the destruction of humankind through cell phone technologies. So, of course, it is suicide. Now, as you really start to overcome some of these obstacles or challenges and start to use your biology, it grows. It grows and it starts to become stronger and stronger. The immune system becomes stronger and more neural networks are open. You get more ideas and you vibrate differently. And as you feel good and you feel confident and your energy field goes up and you are using your chi, so to speak, others feel it. If you have good energy, other people like to be around you. If perhaps you walk in a room and you see a whole bunch of people who are really depressed, you say, oh, wow, get me out of here. Or you may spend the afternoon with them and then afterwards feel as if someone has pulled your plug. You are all affecting each other all the time, unwittingly. As you start to wittingly affect others by smartening up yourselves and then vibrating this like your own radio station, because your thoughts go out. This is how you improve the human condition. And we speak to those who are interested in improving their condition. We are not going to go on the radio, on TVs, movies and stuff and speak to those who want to eat slops. You have to seek out self-improvement. But once you seek it out, you're in the game. And it's your job, not ours, to get those who don't want to awaken. That's a tougher job than ours. At least we are speaking to those who want to awaken. You understand, Falco?
Yes.
Good. So vibrate out your power. Who else has question this side of the room now?
Catherine here.
Catherine here. We hear Catherine. Loud and clear.
I would like to know...
Can they hear you in the back of the room?
I would like to know how we can best protect our children or educate them in light of an obsolete educational system in addition to homeschooling or apart from homeschooling.
Another excellent question, Catherine, of course. You are up against a lot of turmoil, a whole systemic change. Remember, in these changeover years, 2013 through 2027, everything is going to alter drastically in a lot of systemic failure. Hospitals, supplies being transmitted, air travel, educational systems, colleges. It's all decaying because they're greedy people. It's all about money or controlling, and it's not about really producing well-adjusted individuals. That's not what the globalists want. It's your job as a parent, each of you. It's a big responsibility to be a parent. Oh, it's easy to have sex. It's fun. And sex is to be fun. But there's a big responsibility to it. And when little beings come in, that karma will follow you for lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. Because those little kids grow up, and if they have problems, they carry those lifetimes and they get regressed and they say, oh, 5 lifetimes ago my mother did this to me. Yipes, yipes. Not 5 weeks ago, 5 lifetimes ago. So, we are laying it on thick that you have a duty as a parent to explain, to educate. And you are not to be best friends with your children. Oh, of course you are their great friend when they are very young. But you must educate and explain and discipline. And then if you've done a good job, once they are past 28, their first Saturn return, then you can become good friends with them. Because then it's time for you to zip it and to not dominate too much advice. The parenting days are over. You do not turn to adult until you are 28 years old. When you are a teenager, you are making the worst decisions of your life. 15 years old, you are halfway there. The hormones are crazy. They are raging. Everyone go back to 15 and think of a very bad decision they made. Yipes, right? And how long did you pay for it? Sometimes it's still there. Forgive yourself for being stupid. That's the best thing you can do. And forgive also people who have done bad things to you. It's never worthwhile to carry that resentment around with you. So back to the children, because it weakens your immune system. And you strong immune system, smart being. Now, you must educate them and do not rely on the systems. Homeschooling can be very good. It can be isolating, though. And then there's the will of the children. They don't want to do what you want them to do. So, of course, you're going to have reorganizations of parents now. You must do your very best to hold your children completely and totally responsible for their activities. If the children say, I want to use this cell phone, I don't care what you say. You pay the bills. You have the right. You must start when they are very, very young, and you must lay down the rules kindly, not meanly. And always explain and understand. You don't have to explain completely. Sometimes, no is the answer. You won't understand why anyways. And then you reward them for good work. Simple rewards. Come on, I'm going to take you, we're going to go look at the birds down by the sea. That's a reward. Then maybe we'll go out for an ice cream cone. Only once in a great while. I don't want you eating too much sugar. You understand, Catherine, what we are at?
Yes, I understand.
What else do you want to ask us?
Well, I suppose it's in light of that they can tend to listen to teachers sometimes before they listen to the people that they're with most, their parents.
Very well said. And it used to be that the teachers were parents themselves and everyone was on the same page, but the teachers now, a lot of them younger, they may know their history, they may know their math, but they don't understand what's happening on the larger scheme. So it's tough being a parent today. These are the most difficult times for raising children, grandchildren, all of that. And all we can say is do your best. If you are a mother, you have a very, very strong telepathic influence over your child, because that is if you are the birth mother, because the child was with you for those 9 months. Remember, all children are just waiting to be adults for the issues to kick in. Well, this is worthy of a big laugh, because they're so cute, look how cute they are, they're so sweet, but they're going to grow into what they came on the planet for, which are their issues, their unfinished business from many lifetimes. So this is why the more guidance you give your children, and the more rules, and you don't have to explain everything. No can be no. And you can gain respect doing it. So you are up against some difficulty. And again, the school systems are collapsing. So it's confusing for children. Hug them. Cook them a good dinner. Teach them skills. Get them to rake the yard, mow the lawn. Come on, we're going to plant flowers today. I'm going to teach you how to clip the trees here. We're going to get rid of these branches. Take them out into the old-fashioned times and get them doing real things. The more skills your children have, the happier they will be. And we are not talking about football, tap dancing, and horseback riding. We're not talking about trendy lessons. We are talking about mom, dad, grannies, grandpies, aunts and uncles saying, let's go berry picking, and then we're going to go home and make jam. You follow this?
Yes.
Real practical things. That is a way you will implant your influence. You teach them the things that have been going on here forever that work. You are in physical reality, friends, and you're not going to escape it. You are multidimensional. And if you keep your feet on the ground, your head can go to the stars. But you still are going to live in physical reality. You are going to have to wash yourself, feed yourself, wipe your bums, and create. So you must know the basics and teach those to your children. And then teach them to play musical instruments, not electronic guitars, but teach them to make sound with music, to sing and to play, to do real things and to socialize and to have real talks. No one is communicating with their cell phones. It is a way of keeping you disconnected from everyone around you. It's a very bad idea. All right, this side of the room. Now, who has a question?
Hello, please. My name is Monica.
Yes, Monica.
When
Welcome.
will this big downturn come? The one you talked about earlier.
About,
banks and governments and the whole system falling apart big time, bigger than in 2008.
oh, the financial rearrangement.
Yes. When will that occur?
Well, it looks as if some rumblings are going to begin this fall, simply because of scuttlebutts that have been out there. And the euro and the dollar have been propped for 08. Since 08, the US started something called QE. And that's not Queen Elizabeth. QE stands for quantitative easement. It is a lot of gobbledygook language that is meant to say we are going to print worthless money. And then that way we'll put more worthless monopoly money in the system, and it will keep things from crashing, because you came so close to massive global systemic breakdown in 2008, and desperate measures had to be propped up in the US, because it is the US reserve currency that all of the petro economy is based on, and so when the US goes, it can tank everything. Now, as we said, it looks as if the gold-backed yuan or something from someplace else. Remember, the yuan is with the BRICS. The BRICS are Brazil, Russia, India, China, big players. The U.S. is on the decline. Look for things to start to rumble. Well, you can see it now. People have been pointing out that something happened in April and May. In April, the Ban Ki-moon man, you've heard of him, yes? He says to the Pope, climate change is much closer than anyone realizes. Then a few weeks later, Mr. Obama, he starts squeaking like a duck. Climate change, climate change, climate change, climate change, climate change. This is a warning. Climate change is code. Climate change's code is that it's coming down, and it's code, perhaps, for big things coming from space, perhaps return of Anunnaki. Just as nuclear is code for ET issues. You're going to have all manner of climate change this summer. You're going to hear it coming out of your ears, and you're going to have extremes in weather. And you've already had it this year. Hot when it's not supposed to be hot, cold when it's not supposed to be cold. You experience it locally, but it's happening all over the globe. Some of this is the result of weather wars, which has been around for many decades. And some of it has just been so much screwing up with the jet stream and attacking various countries, making it rain at times, making it dry, drought, snow, weather. It's all going on. And this is Earth-based. But just imagine the kind of weather control the Anunnakis have. This is starting to create disruptions everywhere. Rather than sending troops in, it's very easy to send the weather in. You see, troops have to be relocated, supply lines fed, disciplined. A drought, there it is. California, year number 4. California, they're running out of water. Buenos Aires, the faucets are dry. Brazil, it's next, running out of water. California, 4th year on the drought. The intake, the water is getting below the intake valves. California has the 6th, 7th, 10th, whatever, it's in world economy. When California goes, it goes belly up. California is going to have a real estate crisis extraordinaire. How much do you think your $5 million house is worth when no water comes out of the faucet? It's worth the same as the shack down the road that has no water faucet. Do you understand? And how long do you think it is going to take to fill up those reservoirs so there's water again in California? If it took 4 years to get here, that's a lot of water that has to come down to fill those up. So how soon, when is all this going to happen? You are in it now. You are in this turmoil that is massive. If you follow the markets, look, there's massive sell-offs. And the euro is in just as much trouble because they have also here using the quantitative easement. Printing more, and every time more is printed, what you have in your hand becomes worth less and less. So you go to the grocery store and you say, last week it seems to me this was almost €1 less. How could it go up €1 in 1 week? And if you think that's a lot, by autumn or by next year, with a lot less water in a lot of places and less food, less water in a growing area equals less food, eventually that translates to the food that is there is going to cost a lot more money. If you want to wonder who you have to feed, go to China. Go to India, where they too are experiencing turmoil, and you have over 1 billion in each country. When is it happening? Now. It's happening so slowly. You've heard of the frog that's boiled in water? Because the water gets warm so slowly that by the time the frog is feeling it, it can't hop out. You are in it, folks. It's why we are here to say you must make preparation on a practical level. You must use your intentions. And you can augment yourself with practicality, but you are probably not going to stop the engine of the economic change. Now, sometimes a bucket of manure can look like a very bad present. But if you are a gardener, that bucket of manure could be a bucket of gold as you see it. Wow! That's just what I need to fertilize my garden. You have heard of lemons and lemonade. What looks as if it could be a disruptive event is actually, if you get your wits about you and you allow the forces that are in the dimensions to help you, they will help cushion the changes, and there are always ways through these situations. And perhaps on a larger picture, some of this systemic breakdown is necessary in order to turn the course that the large ship of state is headed in. Some manner of economic turmoil, and we are using the words turmoil purposely, is inevitable. And a lot of greedy people are going to be stuck. A lot of regular people are going to say, where did this come from? What happened? Because they choose to be entertained rather than informed. If you have monies, get out of debt. Do not spend what you do not have. If you owe monies and you have a cushion, pay it off. If you're thinking of selling, now's the time to do it. If you own a mortgage or you have owe on your automobile, those are the only two legitimate debts. If you think your job is insecure or it's going to disappear, then you must examine your commitments. And let's say if you start weighing all these things out, you may turn to your guides and say, all right, I have a family, I want to provide, or how am I going to have monies? Give me new idea, give me inspiration. I pray. Praying is fine as long as you don't pray to the religions. Prayer is a form of asking the Creator and the guides that work with you. It's a way of calling for assistance into your space. And everyone needs to be doing this on a much more regular basis all the time. Because that is where you get low grades. You don't condition your space for how you want it to go, and therefore the globalists can control you because they just inform you of what's coming down. We surf the probs. We say to you, this is what's happened, this is a way of looking at it, this is what's happening in the present, this is some of the probs of the future, which ones do you want to end up in, which ones can you change. And so economic collapse is too big. It's too many people invested, and there are too many people in the world who already have the plans in motion. If you have extra money, you might want to invest in precious metals. They are very affordable now, more than they have been in let's say, a while. That's always a bit of what they call hedging your bets. Silver, gold, these kinds of things are worth something. What else? Well, if you are a beekeeper and you know how to keep bees and you know how to make liquid gold, you're made. Because everyone's going to want what you have. This is why we say train your children in skills so that they know how to do and trade and barter and make a living. Education today, you pay $100,000, you can't get a job, it's a Ponzi scheme. You understand, everyone? Let's see what else we can tune into, and then we are going to give you your lunch time. These are very, very challenging situations that you are facing, and yet they are doable, because you have within you the smarts. You have within you the kindness, the inventiveness, the curiosity to rebuild the system. And you have tremendous support from some good Anunnakis and some very, very good intended visitors and dimensionals who value Earth, who value this place that we call the living library. You are a genetic repository, not just of life forms, but each life form in its DNA is encoded with data that may mean nothing to you. But you are like a book that you cannot read. A book that has a code within it. That even if you are able to read the book that you are, it will give you one story. Yet others visiting know that behind that story are codes, essential codes to life in the cosmos. And in terms of life in the cosmos and what's out there, there's much more good than there is evil. Yet Earth has been caught up in a story of challenges, of forces creating these dynamics. And these dynamics have ended up with a psychosis on Earth and in the cosmos. And it is this psychosis, this illness, this misunderstanding of reality by the Anunnaki, who have become obsessed in their governance to control, and the people of Earth who have become obsessed in powerlessness, thinking that they have nothing that they can do. You are beings of creation, and you have more power than you can imagine. Use it, and have a good lunch hour. We'll talk to you again this afternoon. It's been our pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.